never made a zoetrope before, but the nature of model making is that you never make the same thing twice.
We needed to test the zoetrope to make sure it worked before we started actually animating any models. So the first simple animation was with blocks of wood in varying sizes.
If you split up the turntable into 15 segments, so you divide 360 degrees 15 times, it comes out with 24 degrees. So if you place each model 24 degrees on from the last model, from the next model to the next model, then the strobe will hit those models. If it's flashing at exactly 15 times a second, it will hit every time that the segment moves around one segment at 24 degrees, it will hit the next model on, and that's how the animation works.
So the biggest challenge technically was syncing the film camera to a strobe light. Obviously the model comes alive only under a strobe light condition. That's when you see the animation. The film gear is used to, it's built for shooting, say, 10,000 flashes a year. And we ended up subjecting ourselves to 80,000 flashes in 3 days. And the problem with trying to shoot that on a film camera is that a film camera wants to shoot at 25 frames a second and the zoetrope wants to be shot at 6 frames a second. We actually ended up shooting it at 6.047 frames a second, which I didn't even know the camera could do.
We had 6 model makers, and then the people that we relied on after that were people like, we had an electrical engineer to help us out with the strobe, etc. Then we had laser cutters, brass etchers, and resin suppliers, and silicon suppliers, and the list kind of goes on really.
Once we had the photographic strobe synced to the camera and the camera synced to the zoetrope, that's when the motion control rig was able to really show its mettle.
My favourite is the gymnast. I think it's a really graceful movement, and also because every single part of her moves within the animation, it just makes it really smooth.
The most difficult character to make was probably the cyclist, because not only have you got a human movement to make, you've also got to sync that to a mechanical movement, i.e. the cranks and pedals going around on the bicycle. So not only have you got to manipulate the rider's legs moving around, you've also got to then make sure that they're in exactly the right position to sync them up with the cranks at their different angles.
The zoetrope itself isn't an innovation, but it is an innovation in this context